Three engineers were paged at 3 a.m. because their Kubernetes cluster started evicting pods in production. The root cause? A two-line config that 90% of tutorials skip. We're covering it today. Welcome to DevOps Genius Zone. I'm dropping straight into the content because your time is too valuable for a lengthy intro. Today we are doing a complete, no-fluff deep dive into how to secure your Kubernetes cluster, Complete Checklist 2025. If you've been in DevOps for any amount of time, you've heard of how to secure your Kubernetes cluster. But I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll understand it at a level most engineers never reach, and you'll have concrete steps you can take today. Before we start, if you find this video useful, hit like right now. It genuinely helps more DevOps engineers find this content. And subscribe if you want this level of depth every single day. Alright, let's go. Here is exactly what we're going to cover. First, why how to secure your Kubernetes cluster matters right now in 2025 and what's changed. Second, the core concepts explained in plain English, no buzzword soup. Third, a step-by-step hands-on walkthrough with real commands. Fourth, and this is the part most tutorials skip, the most common mistakes and how to avoid them. Fifth, the advanced patterns that separate junior engineers from seniors. And finally, a real-world case study that ties it all together. Let's get into it. Here is the context you need. The industry has shifted dramatically. In 2020, maybe 1 in 5 companies was running how to secure your Kubernetes cluster in production. By 2025, it's standard. If you don't understand this deeply, you're competing for jobs against people who do. But it's not just about jobs. How to secure your Kubernetes cluster directly affects 3 things that your business cares about: deployment speed, system reliability, and operational cost. Companies that implement this well ship features faster, have fewer incidents, and spend significantly less on infrastructure. I've seen teams cut their deployment time from 2 weeks to 2 hours. I've seen incident response time drop from 4 hours to 15 minutes. This is what how to secure your Kubernetes cluster done right looks like. Here's another angle. The people who understand this deeply are the ones who get promoted. They're the ones who can diagnose problems that stump entire teams. They're the ones who get called when production is on fire. That's where I want you to be. Let's break down how to secure your Kubernetes cluster actually works, from first principles. Forget the documentation for a minute. I want to give you the mental model that makes everything else click. The fundamental problem that how to secure your Kubernetes cluster solves is this: how do you take a complex system and make it predictable, repeatable, and scalable? The traditional answer was careful manual steps and lots of documentation. The modern answer is how to secure your Kubernetes cluster. Think of it like this analogy. Imagine you're opening a new restaurant. You could rely on each chef memorizing their own recipes, or you could have a standardized recipe book where every dish is made the same way every time. How to secure your Kubernetes cluster is that recipe book for your infrastructure and deployment process. There are 3 foundational concepts you need to understand before anything else. Number 1, declarative configuration. You describe the end state you want, not the steps to get there. This is powerful because the system can figure out the best way to reach that state, and it can self-correct if something drifts. Number 2, idempotency. Running the same operation 10 times should give you the same result as running it once. This makes automation trustworthy. Number 3, the reconciliation loop. The system continuously compares where things are to where they should be, and takes action to close any gap. This is how to secure your Kubernetes cluster achieves self-healing behavior. Once you have those 3 concepts locked in, everything else becomes a variation on those themes. Let me show you what I mean in practice. Now let's get practical. I'm going to walk you through a real implementation from scratch. Open your terminal and follow along. Pause the video whenever you need to. First, let's make sure your environment is ready. The prerequisites for this tutorial are a working terminal, Linux, macOS, or WSL on Windows, internet access, and the relevant tools installed. I'll call out each tool as we need it. Step 1, set up your project structure. Create a new directory and initialize version control. Every infrastructure project should be in Git from day 1. This is non-negotiable. Run in dir DevOps project and cd DevOps project, then Git init. Create a README explaining what this project does. Future you will thank present you. Step 2. Create your initial configuration. I'll walk through every parameter. Don't just copy-paste, understand what each line does. I'm going to explain the reasoning behind each decision, not just the commands. This is the difference between an engineer who can follow a tutorial and an engineer who can build from scratch. Step 3. Validate before you apply. This is the habit that separates senior engineers from juniors. Always run a dry run or validation step before making changes to any environment. I'll show you how to set up automated validation so this happens in your CI pipeline without relying on human discipline. Step 4. Apply your configuration and verify the output. I'll show you what success looks like and how to diagnose the most common failures. We'll also set up basic monitoring so you know immediately if something is wrong. Step 5. Iterate and improve. Start with the minimum viable setup, get it working end to end, then add complexity. The biggest mistake I see is engineers trying to build the perfect setup before they've validated the basics. Stop for a second. If you're following along and you've hit a problem, drop it in the comments with your exact error message. I read every comment and I respond to technical questions. You're not in this alone. This is the section of the video I care most about. I've made these mistakes myself. I've seen others make them. I've helped clean up the consequences. Pay attention. Mistake number 1, skipping the plan and going straight to apply. I don't care how experienced you are, always review what your automation is going to do before it does it. This one mistake has caused more production incidents than I can count. Mistake number 2, using root or admin credentials for everything. Least privilege is not a buzzword, it's a discipline. If your automation runs with admin credentials, a misconfiguration can affect everything. Scope your permissions to exactly what each task needs. Nothing more. Mistake number 3, not having a rollback plan. Before you make any significant change, ask yourself, how do I undo this? If the answer is I'm not sure, stop and figure it out before you proceed. This is why blue-green deployments and feature flags exist. Mistake number 4, copy-pasting configs from the internet without understanding them. I've seen engineers copy a Stack Overflow snippet that worked on someone else's system, apply it without reading it, and take down production. If you don't understand every line of your configuration, you don't own it, it owns you. Mistake number 5, not testing your automation. Your infrastructure code needs tests just like your application code. If your pipeline fails silently, you won't know until something is already broken in production. Here's the part nobody tells you about mistakes in DevOps: the environment punishes gaps in understanding. You can get away with not knowing something for weeks or months. And then at 2 a.m. during peak traffic, it surfaces all at once. The engineers who survive and thrive are the ones who invest in understanding things deeply before they need that knowledge. That's exactly what we're doing in this video. Let me give you the advanced patterns that separate junior engineers from seniors. These are things you won't find in most beginner tutorials. Advanced Pattern 1, design for observability from the start. Don't add monitoring as an afterthought. Every component you build should emit metrics, structured logs, and traces from day one. The engineers who can diagnose problems fast are the ones who invested in observability early. Advanced Pattern 2, immutable infrastructure. Instead of modifying running systems, replace them with new ones built from a known good state. This eliminates an entire class of configuration drift problems. When something goes wrong, you don't patch it, you rebuild it from source. Advanced Pattern 3, progressive delivery. Don't deploy to 100% of your users at once. Roll out to 1%, watch your error rates and latency, then proceed to 10%, 50%, and 100%. This limits your blast radius when something goes wrong, and something will always go wrong eventually. Advanced Pattern 4, everything is code. Not just your infrastructure, but your runbooks, your dashboards, your alert rules, your security policies. If it's not in Git, it doesn't exist. This is how you scale operations without scaling headcount. Advanced Pattern 5, automated testing at every layer. Unit tests for your scripts, integration tests for your infrastructure, end-to-end tests for your pipelines. If you can't test it automatically, you can't trust it in production. Let me tell you about a real situation. Details changed to protect confidentiality, but the core story is accurate. A fast-growing SaaS company was handling about 50,000 users. Their deployment process involved manual steps, a shared staging environment, and a Friday afternoon release window. Predictably, their Friday evening was frequently ruined by production incidents. When I helped them analyze their pipeline, we found 3 root causes. Configuration was managed manually and inconsistently between environments, there was no automated rollback capability, and their monitoring only told them something was wrong after users were already impacted. Over 8 weeks, we implemented how to secure your Kubernetes cluster properly. We migrated to declarative configuration managed in Git. We set up automated validation in CI. We implemented progressive delivery with automatic rollback on error rate spikes. We added proactive monitoring with synthetic checks that alerted before users were affected. The result, deployment frequency went from once a week to multiple times a day. Incident frequency dropped by 80%. And the team's Friday afternoons were finally their own again. That's the real-world impact of doing this right. Here is your action plan. Do not just watch this video and move on. Take one concrete step in the next 24 hours. Action 1. If you haven't started with how to secure your Kubernetes cluster, set up a sandbox environment this week. Don't wait for a work project. Build something small, break it, fix it, understand it. That hands-on experience is irreplaceable. Action 2. Audit your current setup. Where are you relying on manual steps that how to secure your Kubernetes cluster could automate? Pick the highest risk manual step and automate it first. Action 3. Share this video with one colleague who you know is struggling with this topic. Teaching others is the best way to cement your own understanding. Action 4. Drop a comment below telling me one thing you learned today that you didn't know before. I read every comment. It also helps the algorithm show this video to more engineers. Tomorrow on DevOps Genius Zone, we're going deep on a topic that trips up even senior engineers, and it's closely related to what we covered today. I get questions about this every single week, and the answers I see online are almost always incomplete or flat out wrong. So make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss it. If today's video gave you value, please hit like right now. It only takes a second, but it helps this content reach thousands more engineers who need it. Subscribe to DevOps Genius Zone for a new deep dive DevOps video every single day. 365 days, 365 topics, no filler, no repeat content. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.